Hey, in today's video, I want to talk to you about beliefs, what they are, how they limit you, and how they help you. A belief is simply an idea that you have in your head that you think is true. It might be true, it may not be true. Here's what's important about beliefs. Beliefs do two things. They give you permission to do a behavior, or they limit you from doing a behavior. So if you believe something, it's going to be either resourceful or it's not going to be resourceful. So you have to think about how you think. You have to think about what you believe, because if a belief is limiting you, you might ought to consider changing what you think about what you believe. So let me give you an idea. Not an idea, but let me give you an example of how beliefs are so resourceful. Back in the early 2000s, there was a tsunami in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in that part of the world, and it was on Christmas Day. And if you go back and watch the videos, the water receded. People walked out into where the water was, and then the water came back and it killed a lot of people. It sort of lured people out there. It was a luring event for people, and a lot of people were killed. There was an island nearby. I saw this on National Geographic. They interviewed these people. There was an island of a native tribe, and nobody in that tribe was harmed, and here's why. They had a belief system that was resourceful, even though it wasn't true. Here's what they believed. Their ancestors had taught them, and it had gone from generation to generation, and here's what they believed. They believed that the earth sat on a big tree, and that sometimes the big tree would shake the earth, and when the earth shook, the land and the water would have a fight. And in the beginning, the land would win the battle, but in the end, the water would overcome the land. So as soon as the big tree shook, what do you think they did? They ran to high ground, because they knew what was going to happen, because that's what they believed. They were taught this belief. Wasn't true. We all know that that's not true. We all know that the earth does not sit on a tree. We all know that the tree doesn't shake the earth. And none of us really believed anything. I wouldn't have believed anything about the water and how it would respond, but they did. And even though the belief wasn't true, it was resourceful, and it saved their lives. So you've got to be really careful about what you believe, because you might believe things that limit you. I had a belief system that didn't limit me, but in one regard it did. Let me give you my example. When I was a child, in 1968, 69, I was 8 or 9 years old, I wanted to buy a bicycle. Dad wouldn't buy it for me because it was so expensive. This bicycle cost $112. And at that time, if you use time value of money and adjust for inflation, to get an idea of how expensive this bicycle was back then, my dad's mortgage payment was $95. So I wanted to buy a bicycle that was more than my father's mortgage payment. He said, "No, son, I'm not buying you that bicycle. It's too expensive." So what I did was, I used his lawnmower, I used his gas, I knocked on doors in our neighborhood, and I built a landscaping business. I would cut grass for people, edge, rake, all that stuff. And I would count my money every week, and I earned $112 cash money. Took me about 3 or 4 weeks, which was really good back then for a 10-year-old. And I went to Sears and Roebuck and bought that free Spirit, red, white, and blue 10-speed bicycle, and paid cash. Okay, so built a belief system. I believed that when I needed money, knocking on doors would help me, and it did. So let's fast forward to 1989 when I'm 29 years old. I buy Hamrick Heating and Air Conditioning. And when business slowed down in the winter, what do you think Roger did to meet payroll? Correct. I went out and I knocked on doors in neighborhoods and I learned how to set appointments. Now, I didn't have the skills that I needed, but I got the skills that I needed too, because it's a big difference. Knocking on doors as a kid in the neighborhood, little 8-9-year-old Roger, everybody wants to help him. But when he's 29 years old, nobody knows you. It's a different process. But here's what I want you to know. I had this supporting belief system that said, if you need money, knock on doors. And you know what? I believed it would work, and it did work. Knocking on doors and canvassing neighborhoods was what we built our business strategy around. I learned how to do it. I got the skills. I taught other people how to do it. It was duplicatable, scalable, and we all were proactive and knocked on doors, and we made money every quarter, not only in the hot weather, but also in the mild weather, because when we needed appointments, we knew what to do to go get them. We'd set appointments and we'd go close deals. So here's what I challenge you to do. What do you believe in your head that is limiting you that you need to change? How do you change it? You go do the behaviors anyway. I had a limiting belief when I started this business in 2001, but I knew that I had it and I knew it limited me. And here's what's the limit. The limit. I believed that I could only help heating and air conditioning and plumbing companies. That's what I believed. I didn't know if it was true or not, but I knew I believed it. And when I started this business, I made cold calls on the telephone. And if you did 40 to 60 million in revenue and your business was in Alabama or either in Colorado, I called you. I had a script and I dialed the telephone. It didn't matter if you were heating and air conditioning. I just had a whole big list, but here's what I had to do. I had to cover up, or really I hid in a spreadsheet, I hid the name of the company. So it wouldn't limit me. I just dialed, if I had a name of a person and a phone number, I called them, executed my script. I got an appointment with a bank, the bank president. I went and talked to the bank president, did the sales call, and the bank president hired me. And I helped them. I worked in their culture for about a year in a teleclass environment before we had Zoom. I worked for manufacturing companies who had 400 employees one time, a box manufacturer. I've worked in real estate firms. I've worked in computer firms, beer distribution business, all kinds of industries, but I believed I could only help heating and air conditioning companies. How did I overcome it? Recognized my belief and did the behavior anyway. Wanted to prove that the belief was not true. And it isn't true. I believe that I've changed that belief, see? Because I had experience, I had life experience that told me something else. So, beliefs are very powerful. They will paralyze you or give you permission. And if you're paralyzed because you believe something, challenge your belief. It probably is not true. Hey, I hope this video helped you today, and God bless.